Welcome back to the second video, which is going to show you how we can use our notice board admin interface to put the widget that we just created into the application itself. So hopefully by this point you are finished with your SWD, your project file, and you've got a dynamic iframe that is allowing us to represent where that data is. Okay. So the notice board application itself, the one that we're going to look at, is here. And what you'll see is that currently we're missing the flood mapping. So in the first one, we saw where we wanted to put it and how it needs to look. In this one, because we're going to add this in live, I've taken it out. So you can see we're currently missing that flooding data. So one of the first things that we do is we're going to copy that URL, and I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to visit our admin interface. So for both notice board and web app layers, we've got a nice little web interface that allows us to interact with the data and administer all the stuff that goes with it. So if we go to our admin interface, one of the first things that we can see is we've got a list of all the different things that we can do. And what we need to do first is we need to simply add a template that's going to pull back the data that we're interested in. So firstly, we're going to add a name in there. So I'm going to call this our flooding live. I might even put widget so we can know what it is. And then secondly, we need to add a template text that allows us to pull back the attributes coming from that data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write items dot attributes, and then the attribute that we want to pull back is called embed this, and then finish it off. So basically, when we do our about my property search, that point falls within a polygon. It pulls back the attribute information in that schema column embed underscore this that's relating to that polygon. So it's going to pull back that iframe, which will allow us to embed it within our web app layers. So once we've added this, we can then move on to our notice board itself. So in here, we've got a notice board link. And what you'll see if I click on edit is that this kind of represents all the stuff that we've currently got going. So I want to add it to our first column, which is the waste collection and the planning constraint. So I'm going to say that I want to add a new column in here, and then I want to add a new notice. And then what I can do is add a brand new title. So I'm going to say that this is our flooding widget live, and then I'm going to add a layer. And then what we do is, because this notice board application picks up on the SWDs that are being used, we should be able to see all of the items that are in that SWD, and which is right. So I'm going to click on our flooding live. And then what we can do is we can set up a kind of a negative response and a positive response. So because I know that all this UK data is covered by a polygon of some region or description, we're going to add in our template as our flooding live widget, which is what we've just created, and then leave our nothing found template as blank, because it's never going to find nothing. So once that's been added in, we can close all of this down. And then what I'm also going to do is, because that's our flooding widget, I'm just going to move this up to the top, and I can now close that down, and I can say that I want to update our notice board. So now what happens is, when I visit our embedded search sample page, I can put in a particular postcode that we're looking for, so RG6 1JA, so it's going to go to Hungerford. And when I click it, what you'll see now is that it brings back all of the data that we had before, but now what's happening in the left hand side is that it's also bringing back the Berkshire data for the Environment Agency flooding widget that we started with right in the first video. So this is dynamic, and like I say, if we went to if we go to Stevenage, for example, on another postcode and click it, it will now bring back that representation of that data for that widget as well. So as you can see, there's no flooding in that area. So these two short videos have basically given you a really brief understanding of how we can use widgets to grab third-party data from another user's website and embed that into our notice board application.